first I want to finish up this Egypt thing, or a discussion of the Egypt situation. I started to touch on my take on this, but I really wanted to hear Rebecca's before I went off on mine. Here's what's recently happened in Egypt in a different frame than you've been getting in the media. The military, of course, is the most powerful force in Egypt because, as Rebecca pointed out, our priorities are always to make the military very powerful because there's a lot of money to be made. The $1 billion plus every year that we send to Egypt, we don't actually send to Egypt. We send it to Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and Boeing and Halliburton and on, and they make things that end up in Egypt. But the money doesn't go to Egypt and then come back here to buy things. The money just goes to our aid is shipped to them in the form of goods that are manufactured here in the United States. And we have become addicted to Egypt's foreign aid because all of those companies have big lobbies. This is one of the reasons you're never going to see a cut in our foreign aid. Not that there should be. I mean, if our foreign aid is less than 1% of our budget, or in the neighborhood of 1% of our budget, our discretionary budget, which is like meaningless in terms of budgetary significance or anything else. But the tragic reality is that the vast majority of our military aid of our foreign aid is military, and as military stuff, it takes the form of things that we make here that are designed to blow things up and kill people, and then we ship overseas. So we have this huge industry in the United States that does just that. They make things that blow things up and kill people, period. And this is not, this is no way to run an economy. It's no way to run a government. The people of Egypt would like to have an economy like ours, but we're not giving that to them. Instead, we're giving them tanks. I mean, just compare this with the Marshall Plan. After World War II, Europe was in ashes. It was in flames. They were having cholera epidemics in Germany. After World War II, Japan was in flames. Did we say, we'll make cars and sell them to you? We'll make clothes and sell them to you? We'll make cement and ship it to you? We'll make a new military for you and ship it to you? No, we did not. Now, that's that's the kind of foreign aid that we're doing now. Our foreign aid has turned into a welfare program for domestic American corporations or transnational corporations that have large presences here in the United States, in most cases started as American corporations. But back during the Marshall Plan era, what we did was we said, here's some money for you to bootstart your own domestic industries. This was the debate I got in with the caller yesterday who said, the reason the economy was so good in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was because the rest of the world was in flames and we didn't have any competitors for our manufactured goods. Well, sort of, but that really was not why the United States did so well in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s. Early 80s, anyway. The reason why we did is because we had a rational trade policy and we had a strong unionization. The same reason that Sweden's economy is still doing well, that Germany's economy is still doing well, that Finland and Denmark and Norway, that their economies are still doing well, 70, 80 years after World War II. So how did our Marshall aid work? Our Marshall Plan aid work? We gave them some money and we loaned them some money. And we said, okay, build your own cement factories. Build your own asphalt plants. Build your own highways. Build your own cars. Build your own military. Build your own weapons. Build your own hospitals. Build your own schools. You do that. We rebooted their industry. And now they have, modern 21st century economies. That is not how we do foreign aid now. The way we do foreign aid now is we say, hey, you want some weapons? Here you go. We will pretend we gave you $1 billion, but we're actually going to give it to Lockheed Martin. Because you don't have lobbyists in Washington, D.C., but Lockheed Martin does. And interestingly, I remember Rebecca said the only country that's the exception to this is Israel, and I would say no, not actually, because after the Camp David agreements, we basically cut this bribe with Egypt, where for every $3 Israel gets, Egypt gets $1.50. And whatever the percentage of military to domestic is that we give to Israel, we give the same to Egypt. And in 2011, it was $1.3 billion in military aid and $250 million in non-military aid, which was almost all went to the military in Egypt because they control everything. They make everything. So anyhow, you've got the military in charge of Egypt, right? They've taken over the country. We set this up 50 years ago. They run the country. They own most of the industry. They are the oligarchs. The oligarchs of Egypt are the military. And the military contractors, who, by the way, happen to be members of the military. It's just like in the United States, except here we make this very small step of somebody becomes an executive at Boeing after they retire from the military rather than at the same time. In Egypt, they do it at the same time. That's the only difference. And militaries do what? They kill people and they blow up things. They blow up things and they kill people. That's what they do. That's what they do. So you've got these protests against Morsi being booted out, and the military is in charge. What does the military do? Well, they only know how to do one thing. Abe Maslow said, if you the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. The only tool that the Egyptian government has is its military. That is the government. And so they've got this problem of people protesting that that the elected guy has been deposed. So what do? They hit it with the hammer that they've got. They hit that problem, that nail, with the hammer that they have, which is, killing people and blowing things up. And surprise, surprise, the Egyptian people are not all that pleased about it.